What is up, everybody? Turboverse TV here today, and you had to talk about everybody's favorite gaming news arc right now at this moment, the Activision Blizzard deal. Apparently, some news has leaked that Sony desperately relies on first-party content. They rely on third-party games like Call of Duty to invest. Let me actually get the statement, but apparently they rely heavily on third-party games to fund their first-party games. So this is what this guy who has been following the CMA documents that's been coming out, this is what he has stated, that in CMA Phase 1 responses, Sony makes an interesting claim that third-party franchises like Call of Duty inadvertently help fund first-party games development, implying that without hits like Call of Duty, Sony may not be able to serve up high-profile first-party games. So that is kind of wild. That's kind of hilarious and pathetic. So without games like Call of Duty selling so well on PlayStation, they can't make first-party games like God of War Ragnarok, these expensive first-party games like God of War Ragnarok or the Last of Us series. They can't make those games because they cost way too much. So they need Call of Duty to do extremely well to fund their first-party games, which is like, wow. Didn't know that, but that is just insane. So this is why they have been going so hard about the Call of Duty deal, why they don't want to sign any contracts, and why they fear Call of Duty being taken away eventually at some point in the future. So this is why they can't rely on the first-party games, because their player base don't buy the exclusives like that. Like, I don't see, pretty sure we wouldn't see any type of documents about this about Nintendo, because their player base actually buys their exclusives, while Sony's, it's like, you get like 150 plus consoles they have in the market right now. We count the PS4 and PS5 as Sony's, all these games released on both platforms. All these games don't be selling that great. It's like you consider that huge market, that huge market, that market share of consoles out there. So yeah, it's just wild that they depend on these third party games to sell really well. So without those third party games, they can't fund these first parties, which is kind of pathetic. It is extremely pathetic at that point. Because we hear these Sony fanboys brag about how these games, these first-party games sell so well, but obviously it's not enough. You just buying these first-party games aren't enough to sustain them making more of these first-party games. You have it's the most casual games, that sell, like Call of Duty, Fortnite, Minecraft, the most casual FIFAs, the Maddens, the 2Ks, is what funds Sony's first-party projects. Without those games, there's no first-party PlayStation games out there, which is interesting. So when Sony fanboys can say that, hey, they buy these exclusives, they really don't. They're only getting first-party games because the casual person who brags about having a PS5 is playing Minecraft or Fortnite on their PS5. So that is that big revelation right there. So let's see what people got to say about this, because this is a lot of truths are being revealed with this Activision Blizzard merger and these details coming out about this. I think this familiar meme is very fitting. Sony, yeah, this is the whole Sony not accepting Call of Duty meme right here. Cry Me a River, the game will still be available on their platforms after they sign on the dotted line. Yeah, they have a decade worth of Call of Duty if they sign a contract. Then after that, it's like you can't sustain yourself for that much longer after a decade, then you probably shouldn't be here at this point. If your own first party stuff can't carry you on, you probably shouldn't be here at this point. This also highlights exactly why Sony needs to provide subpoena documents and provide in-depth evidence that supports this claim. That seems questionable. Sony is claiming that their entire business model is reliant on one or two major titles from a third-party vendor, and subsequently asking regulators to protect such a business model that relies on content they don't own, but should be protected for them? Yeah, a lot of questions being asked right there. That sounds like bad management. No way one external company should have that kind of influence on your product. Sony has been offered a guaranteed 10-year release of Call of Duty on its console. Talking about foreclosure with that in mind is silly. 10 years is a long time. Call of Duty might not even be a thing after 10 years, and it's time enough to come up with its own competing franchise. That's kind of just what I just said too, but I agree. Translation, Sony needs Call of Duty to survive. That is kind of wild. Like, Sony literally can't survive without Call of Duty. Without Call of Duty, they're gonna shut down everything, which is crazy. And this is really like the king of the gaming industry right now. This is the market leader. They can't survive if they don't have a third party company getting sales for them. They can't rely on their own IPs. That's kind of wild right there. Sounds like market competition to me. Yeah, it sounds like more competition to be honest. But people out there protecting Sony, like they're like they act like Sony's Princess Peach at this point. When they all need to just needs to protect Sony at this point. Like it's just getting wild. Actively relying on a single third-party game to make ends meet, that doesn't sound like a very good business model. I'm sure the investors will be pleased to learn that. I feel sorry for Sony. After all the games like Final Fantasy, Street Fighter, Neo, among others that they made exclusive, should not generate revenue for the competition to obviously help the platform in question. I tried to tell PlayStation fans those games that hype up aren't all they hype them up to be. Nintendo is doing just fine. Sony will be too. It's time that they depend on their games and media and fans lie about. That is kind of true, bro. It's like we gotta hear from fanboys that these exclusives are so amazing and they should just depend on those exclusive games to keep their company afloat, not just Call of Duty. Like that's just pathetic. Sony implying that this entire gaming ecosystem depends on Call of Duty is a laughable and remarkable lie, or even Microsoft is looking for agreements to leave the game on the PlayStation is enough for the regulatory bodies to look at the game revenue numbers. Sounds like a Sony problem to me. It definitely surely does. It sounds like a Sony issue at that point. That your business model is like strictly just on like it can't hold up without Call of Duty. Sounds like bad business right there. This would imply that Sony first-party games aren't profitable on their own. Surely this isn't true. That's what it sounds like. They can't do anything with just their first-party game sales alone. They didn't spend so much money in temporal exclusivities and publicity. So does this mean the first-party AAA quality bangers is not a sustainable business model? Good question. Sounds like Sony has a flawed business model. But then people are making claims that Sony could just buy Take-Two and Rockstar. Like, what? These other crazy claims. They got these sources. But, Then again, I don't know if this is true at all. If they just literally just depend on third parties. This could be a complete lie that can make people feel sorry for Sony, but I don't know if this is true or not. To be honest, who knows at this point? People are just making up crap just to make this deal not go through or go through at this point. But if it is true, then that's kind of sad that they don't rely on the first party content to sell that well to keep their business afloat. Yeah, these are ironic PlayStation fanboys think I make this stuff up. LOL. LOL Sony, we couldn't make The Last of Us 2 without Call of Duty. What? Is this your king? Yeah, is this like how is this the market leader right now? People say Xbox is trash. Microsoft has no games. But this is the company they're champion for. They can't make games without Call of Duty sales. Like really? Like, don't listen to Sony lies, okay? Told you first party AAA games don't make enough money to fund themselves. You are not enough. So Sony's foundation is built on straws. Bro, this is a wild revelation right here. This is just wild. But I don't know what else to say at this point. Like, this is kind of crazy if true. And this is the company that people are bragging about. They can't just rely on people buying their first party content like that because the third party sells so much better. So I don't know. This is a strange revelation, but definitely want to see your thoughts down below about this. Do you believe that this is true, or do you think this is a lie by Sony to gain more sympathy to make the deal not go through? Let me know your thoughts down below about this. Leave a like this video, and as always, thanks for watching, and peace.